Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is another episode of the world famous The University Love, the best podcast, ladies and gentlemen, in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is Tuesday, February the 1st, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we missed an episode. Yesterday was my daughter's six month. She's 6 months old officially yesterday, so we had to take her to the doctor. Everything's all gravy, as they say. Little baby, she's doing great. It was nice. It was nice to go to the doctor with her. And she was not screaming. She was not hollering all throughout. Now, she did holler when she got her shot. But, I mean, hey, man. Which one of us ain't crying when they get a shot? You know what I mean? So, good job, little baby, you know? And anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about something. I saw this article where two things happened with the subject we're going to talk about today. And that is people doubting, people doubting you and your dreams, and why you should ignore that, and why you should only focus. The only thing that you can control, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that you can control, you know this, I know this, we all know this. The only thing that you can control is your own thoughts and your own emotions. You can't control your mother, you can't control your friends, you can't control your wife, your husband, whoever. Your kids, you can't control anybody else's thoughts and actions but your own, okay? So, what made me think about this subject is I saw Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady. Now, for those of you who don't watch football, Tom Brady is a quarterback. People say he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Me, myself, I'm biased. I go with my boy, Joe Montana. But, hey, that's just me. But Tom Brady is great. He's won 7 Super Bowls. He went to, 10? And so 20% of the Super Bowls Tom Brady was in. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good amount. But he retired. And I remember Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick out of Michigan. He didn't get a lot of playing time in Michigan. He was not the choice at Michigan. He was a good quarterback. People didn't think he was great. Nobody saw this coming from Tom Brady. Now, what I will tell you is people will rewrite history, okay? Nobody had any kind of real, faith in Tom Brady. People will rewrite history. People will say, oh, I knew Tom Brady was going to be great the day I saw him out of California, the day I saw him at Michigan, Now, I seen Tom Brady play football in college. He was good, it wasn't nothing I was like, this guy has potential, I mean, he was good. He wasn't, great. He was good. He did good things, but he didn't get a lot of playing time. That was another thing, But today, people are going to say, I had no doubt that Tom Brady was going to be the greatest thing of all time. And ladies and gentlemen, that goes the same for you. Let's say you become a rock star in marketing. You become a rock star copywriter. You become a rock star entrepreneur. You really start hitting home runs. You start knocking things out the park. You start generating, $60,000, $70,000 a month. You just crush it on YouTube. People will say, I always knew they had the potential. You know what I mean? They will always say that. So do not get upset. Do not get annoyed when people start trying to take credit for things that they had nothing to do with. I had a conversation today with a family member of mine, and for some reason, now I love my mom to death. But one thing about my mom, for some reason, because people, I'll tell you this: when you the traditional sense that people have a sense of the traditional way of having a job, being an employee, and it's something that I used to listen to. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a good book to me. It's a good book. People have, some people have different thoughts or whatever, but to me it was a good book. And every now and then I used to watch a Robert Kiyosaki clip on YouTube. I don't watch a whole lot anymore because now he's just now it's like scared, like it's just about scared, like. The economy's gonna crash. The economy's gonna crash. That's kind of boring, but he's a good guy. Don't get me wrong, but he said something one time that kind of seems to be kind of true. And it was about how people, the educational system, the government, they want you to get an education. They want you to go to college. They want you to do everything so you can be a good employee. Not an employer. Like school is for employees, and I used to think what, and then to me it didn't make a lot of sense. But the more I do this kind of stuff, and the more I try to separate myself from the quote unquote traditional job, job market that I have, and trying to create a business for myself, you have pushback from people, even the family members that you have, you feel their pushback. And like my mom used to say, "Are you going to your real job or the She used to basically think that me doing a podcast was like fantasy world. I'm like, this ain't fantasy world. This is a job. This is I don't have time to point out. I'm like, people make millions and millions of dollars from podcasts. Like this is not a joke. Like this is not. People make, you can make like $100,000 a month from YouTube, like this is not a joke. But I didn't say anything. I just, because I don't really care, about, like I love my mom and everything like that. But her opinion has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Like my mom, if it was up to her, I never would have joined the Navy. I'd still be living in Missouri. I'd be either next door to them, living with them, or living around the corner from them. And so be it. So I can't really. I love her to death, but her opinion means, her thoughts about me and my business adventures have nothing to do with me. And I had a family member of mine today. They said, I told them, I said, eventually I want to write. I just want to write books, and I want to write different things, and that's my end goal. Like copywriting is great, and I want to do that. But that is a means to an end. The main thing I want to do is start writing books, write all kinds of books, and I would like to transition from this to the full-time, copywriting, marketing, and then start writing the books, because I will be able to be at home more and be creative. But that's a whole nother story, But the person I was talking to, they said, "Are you any good at writing?" And I said, if you ever want to get good at something, you have to do more writing, And I said, I do a lot of writing, but a lot of times it's in bunches, Like I'll write for months at a time, and then I have to. Well, I don't have to stop, but I stop, and then it sort of slacks off. And I get back into it and write. But I was telling them, I said this year, this month, I said February, I'm just going to be consistent from now on. I'm going to write every day, even if it's a half a page or a page. I'm just going to write and write and write. And they go, "Did you take a course about writing?" I'm thinking, you don't need a course. You don't need a course in writing to write. You can just write, and you can figure all that out on your own. You don't really need a course. And they was like, "I don't know, man, writing, you gonna make money from that?" And I was like, I'm not going to get into an argument with anybody about, what I want to do, and how I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And the funny part is, let's say you tell your family, "Hey man, I'm gonna be a YouTube person," and they go, "You gotta be kidding me!" And your YouTube channel, because it's gonna take a little while. Let's all be honest. There's so many YouTube channels, it might take a little while to get your traction going, but you'll get it going. And the most important thing you can do is be consistent. We both know that. I don't have to tell you that. I don't have to tell you that. You don't have to hear me say it. We both know that. But let's say you're consistent, that you get this thing going, and you get 50,000, 75,000 subscribers, 100,000, and then you start making the monies. And by the time you know it, these people, they'll take claim. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I knew they was gonna do great on YouTube, man, because they got the personality." And 5 years ago, you could just chuckle and say, "We had a whole different conversation 5 years ago." But now all of a sudden, there was without a shadow of a doubt that I was gonna be big time, And it's funny how that works. People love to take credit when you're a success, but in the beginning, a lot of times you're alone. There's nobody there, There's no fanfare. There's no chilling. There's no yipping and hollering and nothing. It's just you and what you want to do, and you had to hash it out. And every day you have to show up, and every day you have to do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go. And ladies and gentlemen, nobody cares until you get there, And then everybody will pile on. It's like, matter of fact, let's say football. They have the Super Bowl now. The LA Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals. You can't, outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, you probably can't find 5 people that root for the Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are not a popular team, but God forbid they win the Super Bowl. I will see a kid walking down the street in Atlanta, Georgia, wearing a Cincinnati Bengal jersey, because people like to latch on to winners. And do not get offended by this. Nobody's going to be at the parade in the beginning, There's no parade without a trophy. There's no parade without the accolades, And it's just a fact of life. And the faster you figure that out, the better off you will be. People will doubt you until they're blue in the face. People will say, are you sure about this? This is what you want to do? Do you know what you're doing? Are you a natural? You're not a natural about anything, Nobody's automatically great at everything, Nobody's automatically great at stuff, Things take time. Things take effort. If you don't become great. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player on the face of God's green earth. But let me tell you something right now. Michael Jordan worked every day when the man was in the NBA, every day to be the best and to stay at the top of his profession. Michael Jordan worked on the fundamentals. You can't be great. You can't be excellent. You can't be a champion unless you work on the fundamentals. So the fundamentals are consistency, showing up, doing the little things that you need to do to make yourself great, to put yourself in the position, all right? And the parade will not be at the beginning of the adventure. The parade will be there at the end when you win a title, when you win a trophy. I remember my friend, he owned a donut shop. He's been open for, this is year 14 now. My man, I remember it was like 2010. He would have a slow day on Tuesdays. People would say, the college kids are not here, your business is not going to do good. But he worked all that out. He does not need college kids to come buy donuts for him to make money. He makes money every day. It's a beautiful thing. And people had doubts. He said, man, people thought I was crazy. People thought, man, what are you, nuts? But then he started getting accolades and he started getting on TV. Now everybody's like, hey, I knew that Sublime was going to work out. I knew that donut shop was going to hit, And that's just the nature of the beast. That's just the nature of the world we live in, People are gonna doubt you. People are gonna be negative. People are gonna say silly things. People are gonna doubt you. But ladies and gentlemen, it does not matter. Who really cares, I as I told you before, my wife told a bunch of friends of hers that I have a podcast. I do not care if one of my family members, one of my friends, listen to this podcast. I do not care. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for the kumbayas. I'm not here for the awards. I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to help you along the way. I am here to create content, get this party started. Build up a audience and get this thing moving. We are here for that. We're not here for, oh man, your podcast is great, man. We don't need those pats on the back. Now I would appreciate if you go to wherever you listen to podcasts, give it 5 stars. Of course, that would be great. But if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's not a big deal. Because like I told you before, people are gonna listen to this podcast. They're gonna find it eventually, and people will be. This podcast will be however many episodes we're gonna do. We're like 400 episodes now. Let's say by episode 800, somebody's gonna be like, I've been with that podcast in the beginning. No, they wasn't. You know what I mean? They probably got on like 150 podcasts. 700 episode number 750. Somebody probably jumped on, and all of a sudden the biggest fan I ever had. I mean, come on, man. We all know if you listen to this podcast from the beginning, you know the struggle. You know the podcast. And it's like somebody's gonna be there for. Somebody's gonna be there when the podcast is the award-winning darling. You know what I mean? A lot of people are gonna show up then. You're here right now. That's what I appreciate, and that's just how it is. It's not a big deal. It is. And so if people doubt you, don't get mad. Don't do anything. What you do is you keep putting in the work. You keep doing what you got to do to get to where you need to go. All right? And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that's it for the podcast. We will be back tomorrow with the all-new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Rizzano. And if ladies and gentlemen, go give this show 5 stars. Go to Apple. Go to iTunes. Go to Google Play, the Google Store, wherever you go to. Give it 5 stars. Give us a great review. Check us out. Email the show, Tony@onlinemarketingmoves.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow with the all-new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. God bless. And as always, everybody, peace.